Former President Jacob Zuma's legal team argues that prosecutor Billy Downer is not suitable to conduct this trial. Zuma's corruption trial is back at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg. His legal team insists their client wants the trial to go ahead, but Judge Piet Koen says the accused needs to be in court for the trial to proceed. Our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goge, has been following the proceedings for us and joins us now. Siphamandla, thank you so much for making time. So we've been listening to Wim Trengove arguing on behalf of the state and basically saying that, well, here we go again. They're using the same old arguments that have been thrown out of court. But it all started with Advocate DALI MPOFU basically putting the entire NPA on trial, arguing that all of them don't have the title to prosecute.
Indeed, initially the indication was that he was going for state lead prosecutor Advocate Billy Downer in this case, but when he was presenting his arguments, said actually all of the prosecution's team, they do not have a title to prosecute former President Jacob Zuma, arguing basically that Advocate Billy Downer, according to him, he alleges that he is compromised, he has conducted himself in an irregular manner, he says he is biased, he wants to see the former president convicted at all costs. So that was the gist of the argument. So today it's day one. The proceedings have just been concluded for today. We will be back here tomorrow, and I can tell you that tomorrow will start around 11 midday because Judge Piet Koen, together with his colleagues, they have to attend the memorial service of their late colleague, one of the judges here at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg. As we speak, I'm going to take a look. I think I see Mzwanele Manye there leaving. He is the spokesperson of the Jacob Zuma Foundation. But the whole day today was just down for proceedings and arguments. It started earlier on with a heated exchange between Judge Piet Koen and Advocate DALI MPOFU. But in his arguments, Advocate DALI MPOFU says, well, former President Jacob Zuma is ready to proceed with this trial, as we see some of the gentlemen who had come here to support the former president clad in traditional attire. So Advocate DALI MPOFU saying their client or his client is ready to proceed with the matter. He's been ready, but of course, due to ill health, he couldn't physically come to court. Let's take a listen to him.
Mr. Zuma is prepared for this matter to proceed on the basis of Section 106 because arrangements have been made with his team as to, Your Lordship knows, issues of consultation and so on, which was our objection last time. You'll remember we had said we wouldn't be able to consult with him. We didn't trust the facilities, the recording facilities of correctional services. That situation has now completely changed, 360 degrees. He is prepared to have a situation where he is given the information, and I'm sure he's watching us as we speak now. Yeah. And if he wants to give us a signal, he will. So that is the situation, my lord. Mr. Zuma, because he doesn't want to be insulted again by the NPA, is saying let the matter proceed on the 106. Whether tomorrow, next year, or in 100 years' time, some doctors say he's fit to stand trial or not fit to stand trial, we will deal with it if and when it arises. It might never arise. What if, my lord, tomorrow the two teams, I'm putting aside now the correctional services people, the two teams, which is the military medical team and the NPA's team, they meet tomorrow and they agree that Mr. Zuma is fit to stand trial, let's say. Then Your Lordship's cupboard will be full of documents that are completely irrelevant. Similarly, what if they come tomorrow and they agree that he's not fit to stand trial? Then what's the point? Or thirdly, if they disagree, which is what Your Lordship postulated before, then we know what will happen. They will be called here. They're not going anywhere tomorrow. So if they have got the documents, they must keep the documents. They will, if that situation arises, they will then be called. Let's assume the third option happens where they disagree. And evidence will be called.
But Mr. MPOFU,
there's no reason to subpoena anyone and put a gun over their head about something which is not before this court.
Well, Siphamandla, we also saw Arthur Fraser earlier, the commissioner at the Correctional Services. His term is just about to expire, but he took some critical decisions when it comes to the parole that was granted for the former President Jacob Zuma. What was he doing there?
Well, Arthur Fraser came here basically after being subpoenaed by the NPA. He came with some of the senior officials from the Department of Correctional Services. Of course, his presence here raised some eyebrows in the morning because many people were not expecting that he was going to show up, but he had no choice because he had been summoned or subpoenaed by the NPA. They wanted some medical records really, but during the proceeding, you ended up having a situation whereby those documents that were wanted from him, Judge Kun saying, well, for now we'll have to park that matter, we'll deal with it later on. But before we go to that bite by Arthur Fraser, I've just hijacked this gentleman here. His name is Mpumelelo Zigalala from Zigalala Attorneys. Baba, what do you make of the arguments today about this application to have Billy Downer recusing himself? Let's take a look at the most important arguments that were raised by the defense team in this case.
Very interesting. Highlighting the wider narrative or the wider definition of the charges of prosecution. Because the defense or the applicants are then saying, apply a wider application or wider definition, include the conduct of the prosecutor. Let's look at what the prosecutor has done. And for a lack of a better word, let's look at his deep involvement, or loosely translated, his obsession with making sure that the former president is being prosecuted, and especially in which a person who is employed by the NPA, subject to the NPA Act and NPA Code of Conduct, then goes and deposes to an affidavit which is used in another application. Now, the purpose or the notion of leaking of information becomes a factor in this case, being raised again during those proceedings of saying, why didn't you use the internal procedures and processes that were there in order to voice your frustrations that you may have had? Again, that coming up, and the defense or the team that belongs to the state coming back and saying, but you didn't put that in your affidavit, then you can't rely on it. Definitely something in which the judge will have to look at in order to define whether does it go in line with what the section says, the interpretation that is there, and most importantly, the case of Porridge, which is precedent in this matter.
Pumelelo Zigalala from Zigalala Attorneys. But let's take a listen to what Arthur Fraser told me earlier on when I asked him about his presence in court here today, and also his reaction about some political parties taking his decision to court to challenge it. That is the decision to grant the former president medical parole. Let's take a listen.
As I've said previously, it's legal, procedural, so I've got no problems. Yeah, can we open?
Are you not worried that it's being challenged? Are you still adamant that it will stand any scrutiny?
People have a right to challenge.
Sorry?
People have the right to challenge. I'm confident of my decisions.
Yeah. How do you respond to the criticism, though, Mr. Fraser, that has been leveled against you personally for your decision?
No, everybody's got the right to criticize.
Yeah. So will you be coming back here to testify if you are subpoenaed again?
Whatever is required, I'll adhere to that.
All right, Siphamandla Goge, thank you so much for bringing us that update and just compressing the long arguments from the two legal teams coming out of the Pietermaritzburg High Court.